Colton Hobb, a member of the junior ROTC who shielded classmates in the midst of terror, says he did not get to share his experience.
CNN had originally asked me to write a speech and questions, and it ended up being all scripted.
Colton wrote questions about school safety, suggested using veterans as armed school security guards, but claimed CNN wanted him to ask a scripted question instead, so he decided not to go.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today I'm going to give you a recap of that town hall that some of the kids from the Parkland, Florida shooting had last night. It was on CNN. I will not be playing any of the clips from the Communist News Network. If you must see that, this article that I have right behind me will be in the description box below so you can see it on your own, but I will not ever play anything from CNN again on this channel. But I digress. You see the headline over my left-hand shoulder. It says CNN's town hall devolved into North Korean kangaroo court, peddling gun confiscation. Now, that headline may seem like it's kind of sensational. It may seem shocking, but that's not really far from the truth at all. That's pretty much what this is. And before we even get into what happened during this so-called town hall, let's talk about what we just saw before I start talking, and that is that clip that came from my man. I think his name was Colton Hobbs. If I'm wrong about his name, I apologize, but you guys let me know in the comments. He said that CNN contacted him because I guess he was there. He was one of the people that survived the shooting. They contacted him and said, okay, write an essay, give us some questions to ask Donald Trump. And then all of a sudden they said, well, we're going to script it. And then he decided he didn't want to go. Now, I believe what he said for 100% sure and 100% certain. I'll post the source for this. I think it was a local news station down there in Florida, and I will post the source in the description box below. But CNN came out and said, well, he's lying. That's not what happened. It's that and the third. So the question I have for you before we get into this article that is on the screen before you, who do you believe? Do you believe the boy who wrote the essay, who had the questions prepared and gave some common sense questions, or at least a preview of what he was going to say to Trump, talking about, hire some veterans? Do you believe him, or do you believe the Communist News Network, the Clinton News Network, or as they're better known as CNN? Do you believe them and what they said on Twitter? Now, I'm not necessarily the most biased person in the world. I like to give people a fair shake. But when you get false and fake claims from CNN over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, proving stuff that had to come on TV and apologize for lying, I'm not going to believe them over this kid. But I digress. Let's get into the actual article and see what happened during this town hall. Now, I did watch some of the town hall. It was pretty long, probably about an hour and 15, and that will be in the box. But throughout most of it, I could pretty much tell what was happening. It was really a shame what they did to Marco Rubio and also Dana Loesch to a certain extent. But really what it was like they took the opportunity to publicly flog the people that were on the stage. When I say they, I mean those that were in the crowd and the students that survived the shooting that were asking some of the questions. But the article reads, well, talk about a tale of two meetings. The one hosted by President Trump with those who have been victimized by mass shootings was respectful, grounded, and doled out logical solutions. Yes, I will also put that one in the box below. This comes from the whitehouse.gov. I saw some of that. The sound was kind of messed up, but it was in the White House, and it was very calm, very peaceful, very cordial. Trump took some notes. I guess before the meeting, maybe during the meeting, I'm not really sure. And that's got a lot of attention, talking about, well, he needed notes to remember what he was going to say. He needed notes to be compassionate, but maybe he was just trying to be prepared and make sure he had all of his ducks in a row to make sure he didn't miss anything and to be sure to express to the kids, a way that they can come to a resolution and fix things. That's what a leader does. People that are on the internet, these so-called journalists, may not know anything about leadership, but I digress. Yes, there was some talk about assault weapons, bans, and Australian-style gun control, but a lot of family members who lost their loved ones to gun violence said more armed guards, possibly the teachers themselves, should be considered. Better security at schools concerning access to buildings also need to be addressed as well. I said that before about the security getting into school, and the video I did, it may have been a video or two ago where I talked about the same situation. I said that it was a school in Philadelphia where a kid tried to get in with a pistol middle of the day, but he was not able to get in. I think it looked like it was a reinforced steel door. It had grates on the windows, so you couldn't bust in there, shoot in there, or anything like that. Those kind of doors need to be on every school. And people say, oh, it's like a prison. I didn't think anything about my school being a prison when I went there, and we had some of the same security features. We had bike cops that came to the school. Like, sometime you'd be just walking down the hall. Like, let's say you get up in the middle of the class and go to the bathroom. If you look all the way down the hall towards like the new part of the school, I think that was E hall, D hall, whatever. If you look all the way down there, it'd be a bunch of bike cops at that far entrance. And then at the other entrance, it'd probably be a security officer. It may be a police car. And it wasn't like it was a big money school, probably one of the least funded schools in the city. But I mean, we still had security. That's what we need to have everywhere. And then that whole thing about the door with the grates, that was in a low income school right in the ghetto. And I will post a link for that in the box below. But let's continue. That was earlier in the afternoon on Wednesday. Later that evening, CNN held a town hall event in Sunrise, Florida. The National Rifle Association agreed to participate, along with Senators Marco Rubio, Bill Nelson, and Representative Ted Deutch. It was a hostile environment, to say the least. Period. Senator Nelson wants a new ban on so-called assault weapons. He slammed Governor Rick Scott for incentivizing a gun manufacturer that makes the AR-15 rifles to move to Florida. What's wrong with that? As far as I know, the AR-15 is legal. It's not like he was saying, come to Florida and, start selling heroin or something like that. So what's the problem? Is the AR-15 like the big boogeyman that everybody wants to pick on? It's not wrong for him to incentivize any manufacturer of illegal goods to come to Florida. That was the main course in this segment, which was broken up in two parts. The second half was NRA spokesperson Dana Loesch and Broward County Sheriff Scott Israel. And then here's a tweet from Stephen Miller. I'm not sure if it's the same Stephen Miller that was in the White House. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure it's not. His handle is @RedSteez. And his tweet reads, a teacher wants the Second Amendment explained to her as the crowd cheers, taking away semi-automatics. This is a better ad than the NRA could have ever hoped for. I 100% agree on that point, sir. And let's move right along with the article. Rubio became the punching bag. Yes, he did. Very unfortunate. A shame, but very predictable. One father, Fred Gutenberg, who lost his daughter in the tragic shooting last week, was the first to confront the Florida Republican, saying his remarks and that of President Trump since the event were, quote, pathetically weak, unquote. A lot of cheers were thrown when Rubio was slapped repeatedly for not catering to the anti-gun atmosphere. Rubio did say he now supports raising the minimum age to buy a rifle to 21, might support limiting magazine sizes and banning bump stocks. Now, my thing about the minimum age being 21 rather than 18, as far as I know, you can join the military at age 18. So if you could join the military age 18, drive a car age 18, then why can't you buy a rifle? Because you're going to be shooting a rifle in the military before age 21 if you join the military age 18. So I really don't get it. And here's a video, again, from CNN. I won't play it here, but this is where, the father was challenging Rubio. And you can see Rubio's face right there. He's just like, but he was a big sport for going. He had to have known that it would be this way. So CNN, gun control, you know what it is already. So shout out to him for going. He had a lot of bravery. Now, here's the quote that Fred Gutenberg said to Rubio. I won't read it here because a lot of it was already read, but you could pretty much see where this whole thing was going. He's basically trying to it was like browbeating Marco Rubio. He was not the only one that did that. That pretty much happened all throughout the entire event. That's why they said that Rubio became the punching bag. That's pretty much what he was. Everybody's frustration, everybody's anger, everybody's rage about guns was just dumped upon Marco Rubio. Cameron Kasky not only asked Rubio if he was accepting NRA donations, but he even equated him to the shooter, Nicholas Cruz. CNN host Jake Tapper just sat there. Now, yeah, I saw this part right here. Now, what happened was a young boy in a purple shirt, and you see Rubio to the left-hand side of this frame of this still shot. he was asking Rubio, like, can you tell me right now, look at me and say you would not accept any donations from the NRA? But why should he do that? Of course, Rubio didn't do it. He was basically talking about other things, just kind of like dancing around it. If it was me, I would say, no, I can't say that. Rubio is basically saying that they buy into my philosophy. If I get anything from anybody, they buy into my philosophy, which is somewhat tighter restrictions on guns, like I read earlier about raising the age to 21, banning the bump stocks or whatever. But the crowd went crazy when the boy asked the question because they all just hate the NRA. They're all anti-gun. That doesn't mean that Rubio should be pressured into saying something that would be totally against the reality. He's not going to just stop supporting the NRA because of what happened here. Actually, the NRA should be supported more to prevent these kind of events from happening, among other things, not just the NRA, but I digress. And then this is a summary of what the boy did here. He was like, I'm sorry, now I'm not supposed to do this. That's basically when he went up and shook everybody's hand, because I think Rubio and the other people, they were sitting down on one end of the stage. And then you had Jake Tapper right in between them. And of course, the boy's over to the other side with the mic. He just went across Jake Tapper and shook everybody's hand. But aside from that, most of that was already read about the NRA and the whole situation. Now, the young lady right here on the right, that's Dana Loesch. She's an NRA spokesperson. And on the left, you have one of the school shooting victims. Her name is Emma Gonzalez. She went viral over the past few days from a CNN clip. It may have been CNN, it may have been other places that recorded her. But she was talking about a lot of different things, real passionate speaker. She was not as good of a speaker here today, but she did get a question out to Dana Loesch. And you see the subhead to that video. A second segment saw Dana Loesch taking serious heat from the audience, with more than a few people calling her a murderer. Yes, the crowd was really crazy. It was a lot of anger. You could almost feel it. Like, I'm watching it and I can feel the anger. I can imagine being in that room, how contagious that anger may have been. Either it was contagious. If you wanted to feel angry towards the people that were on the stage, your Dana Loesch's, your Marco Rubio's, if you wanted to do that, it'd be easy to do it because everybody else in the entire room had that same viewpoint as you. And if you were on the stage, you had to be very uncomfortable because you are in a hostile environment. But the article continues. She noted that this was a monstrous act and that the shooter, Nicholas Cruz, shouldn't have been able to buy a firearm. That's Dana Loesch saying that. The background check system needs to be updated and reformed so that his disturbing behavior could be properly documented in the system. Cruz had no prior criminal convictions and was not adjudicated as mentally defective, which would have barred him from buying an AR-15. On January 5th, the FBI received a tip that Cruz could carry out a school shooting. The Bureau never followed up on it, something FBI Director Chris Wray admitted last week. The FBI was invited to the Townhall event but declined. Yeah, the FBI dropped the ball, something serious here. They should have went to the event and just admitted what they did. But, you know, how do you look a mother in her eyes, a child in her eyes, and say, you know what, your friend, your brother, your sister, your daughter, your son, they were killed partly because we didn't act on the tip that we knew we had. We did not follow proper procedure. We did not go to, you know, the Call of Duty, not even above the Call of Duty. We didn't even meet the general Call of Duty to do what we are here being paid for. They dropped the ball, as did local law enforcement, which visited his home 39 times over a 7-year period, documenting episodes that were described as that of a mentally ill person. There were many red flags that were not acted upon, something that Loesch pointed out during the second hour of the Town Hall event. And she's 100% right about that. And then here's a tweet from my man Ben Shapiro, at Ben Shapiro on Twitter. If you think D. Loesch murdered kids in Parkland rather than an evil shooter, your morality is skewed nearly beyond repair. I agree. Yet, where things got ugly was when Loesch was asked why the NRA position is not to raise the age of purchasing long guns to 21. She mentioned Kimberly Corbin, who was on the previous CNN Town Hall on the Second Amendment when Obama was president. He mansplained gun politics to her, by the way. She was brutally raped in college and wishes she was able to defend herself with a firearm, possibly a shotgun, which drew boos from the crowd. Yes, they did boo a rape victim, talking about maybe if the the person had a gun, they'd be able to defend themselves. And it wasn't then the Loesch saying it on her behalf. This was the victim saying that on her behalf. And the video of that is in this actual article here, which will be in the description box below. And here's something from Stephen Gutowski. They say, now they're booing Kimberly Corbin's story of wanting a gun after being raped. This is completely off the rails. I don't get it. I just don't get how anyone could even consider that the position of leaving women unable to defend themselves from rapists and others who seek to do harm is fine. The reaction on this front was appalling, but women are becoming a bigger voice in the gun industry, which many think they're rapidly becoming the next frontier. More women are lining up to obtain their concealed carry permits. Shooting sports participation is up, and they're the fastest growing demographic embracing gun ownership. Yes, you have many more single women out there without the protection of a male, into their 20s and 30s, are living alone. And you may see a spike in home invasions, crimes of invading personal space in general, whether it be at a bar, club, work, parking lot, after they go to get groceries or what have you. So they're seeing the pattern and they're reacting to the pattern, most likely, which is a smart thing to do. I think anybody that will want to protect themselves will do the same thing. And here's a video right here of the rape survivor talking about her story. And of course, this is available in this article, which is in the description box below. But I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. That was a general overview of what happened. You saw what's going on. You know what's going on now. So what do you think? Do you think that this CNN town hall was basically a dog and pony show? Just like my man said before I started talking in this video, he was like, what's the point in going? Nothing will be resolved. The questions that need to be asked will not be asked. It's going to be scripted questions from CNN. It feels like CNN is just trying to, make good television, trying to get ratings, trying to get ad dollars. So they're going to position the kids in a certain way. They're going to have the audience be a certain way. It's like they're trying to reignite the fire that was behind the debates. I mean, we all like that debate bump, the Trump bump, as they call it, but the debates are over with. It doesn't matter how many times you put Ted Cruz and Bernie Sanders on the stage, talk about some random thing that nobody cares about. It doesn't matter if you put, some kids that have been victimized against politicians that they hate. What you're doing doesn't make a difference. At the end of the day, the average person is able to see through it. You may be able to get a little bit of a ratings boost, but you're going to lose much more in credibility day by day. It's just like if somebody's trying to enrich themselves, but every time they do something to gain more money, they lose a year on their life. That's what's happening right now to CNN. But do you think that the town hall was good? Was it productive? What actually got accomplished here? As I close, I want to say this. These town halls usually have a net zero gain for everybody involved, except for the networks. Maybe they'll get a little bit more ad dollars, maybe some more revenue, maybe some more eyes on the channel for a short period of time. But when you do things like this, when you try to, make kids say scripted things, when you take advantage of kids, when you have a heavily partisan slant that is becoming less and less popular, the end result is going to be that your channel, your platform, whatever you have, will slowly diminish. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.